Ndi masiari, nṋe ndi Fitsela Galese Rongwa, ri ḓovha ri khou continue na natural sciences ya grade 9. Ri khou focus kha topic number 3 ine ya vha human reproduction. So human reproduction, this is a topic that focuses on the formation of new individuals for the continuation of the human species. Ri tshi khou itela uri mini, hu songo pfi vhathu vho fhela. So human reproduction ri vha khou guda nga uri vhathu vhaswa vha iteisa hani kana vhana vha bebisiwa hani. So on this topic ri ḓovha ri khou investigate uri dzi gametes or sex cells dzi iteisa nga nḓila dzifhio. So huna sex cell ine ya itea kha muthu wa munna, a male gamete ine ya vha sperm cell, a female gamete ine ya vha egg cell. So when these two fuse, which means when the sperm fertilize the egg, they form one unit tshine tsha pfi zygote. So kha zygote huvha huna mini, huna sperm cell na egg cell. So ri khou ya ra ita mini, ra ya ra guda uri zwithu zwoṱhe, steps zwoṱhe zwi itea nga nḓila ḓe. That's when we'll be doing human reproduction. But before we do that, there are two types of reproduction. So huna nḓila mbili dzine things reproduce themselves. So the first way is asexual. Asexual is when there is no sexual intercourse needed. So one parent can produce an offspring. So in this case, we find that all offsprings are identical to the parent. So zwi amba uri mini, ṅwana u fana na mubebi kokotolo ngouri hoyo ṅwana o bebiwa nga mubebi honoyo a nthihi. So kha dzi plants, kha zwimedzwa, we have plants that are like the wild strawberry tshine ri khou tshi vhona hafha. They are able to produce a child nga u shumisa a leaf, a stem, or its own root. So we see the wild strawberry here. It has a runner that is coming across from a stem, and then the runner can go to the right or to the left, and then we see it's producing children. There's one child on the right and one child on the left. So these look identical to the parent. And then the same thing can happen to animals. So we have a small animal that is an amoeba. So an amoeba, here we see a parent amoeba. It then divides itself into two. So the two things are now identical to themselves. So parent is able to divide into two and create a child. And then that's how they keep reproducing. So both animals and plants can reproduce asexually. The second form of reproduction is sexual. So this is the type of reproduction in a there baby vhavhili, a male and a female. So in this case, we need a sperm and an egg. So in this type of reproduction, the child or the offspring inherits the characteristics that both parent. So ni a wana uri mini, ṅwana o dzhia nḓevhe dza khotsi yawe, o dzhia mavhudzi khala ya mme yawe, all those sort of things. Hu vha na variation ya dzi characteristics kha ṅwana ngauri ho ṱoḓea mini, ho shuma vhathu vhavhili uri hoyo ṅwana a vhe hone. There was a sexual type of reproduction. So as we said, there are sperms that are created in the testes of the male, and there are eggs that are created from the ovaries. So when these two things fuse, like we said, zwi forma tshithu tsho no pfi a zygote. A zygote then develops into an embryo. An embryo then becomes a matured baby. This is before the baby is born. So we have a diagram here, the egg or an ovum, and a diagram of a sperm or spermatozoa. So the egg has a nucleus. The sperm also has a nucleus. This is where we find the DNA, and this is where we find these characteristics inheritiwa. So when we come to the egg, like we said, it's the cells. So you have a cytoplasm in a corona radiata. So all these parts we'll be able to discuss further on biology. Also on the sperm side, in a toro, there's a middle piece and then there's a tail. So these two things are what we call the sperm and the egg. So in terms of size here, too. So the previous page, you can see that they look similar in terms of size. So that's not the case. So when we want to determine the size, you can see just to give a picture here, Uri, how do they compare in terms of size? So we can see that the egg is as big as that compared to what? To the sperm. So the sperm is about 1/10 or more smaller than the egg. So, but this is just a diagram that shows me, Uri, in comparison, the sizes zone is high. But the actual size, yeah, egg is equivalent to a full stop. So the full stop that we are seeing here, Kassetense, that is the size of an egg. So you can imagine if the egg is this size, how small is a sperm cell. So for the production of these gametes, so the sperm and the egg, there need to be a process that happens in a child or in a boy child or in a girl child. Zipfi puberty. So this is a stage wherein a human being start to mature sexual organs for reproduction. So hubana zichanduko when a boy or a girl is at an age of 10 to 15 years, zine ziba create mini sexual organs that are ready to create reproduction. So there are things that are called pituitary glands. So these glands sit at the base of your brain. So ngapasi ya vhuluvhi hafha zwone, they sit this thing. It then creates hormones dzine dza vhudza muvhili kana dzi organs uri dzi ite mini. So it tells organs to create things called hormones. Hormones are chemicals. These chemicals either slow down or speed up the activities of the organ. So when you see your heart beating faster, it's now a hormone or a chemical that is then telling the heart to beat faster. That is the function of hormones. So these hormones then create the development of what we call secondary sexual characteristics. So, come to munna, the hormone in responsible if it testosterone. This is a hormone created gazi testis. So just below your penis, there is a bag which we call a scrotum. So inside there are balls that are called testes. This is where the hormone testosterone is created. So on female, we have a hormone called estrogen. Estrogen is created in things called the ovaries. So this is what we call a girl developing into a woman. So estrogen is responsible for those changes. Utoma bana zichanduku zine zikukreatwa nga hormone ine yafi estrogen. So this development ine yaita this stage of puberty, it may cause some emotional changes in a boy's life or in a girl's life. So the first thing that you will start to notice is that you will start developing feelings. So feelings about something or feelings about somebody. So you start having this strong urge to like a particular girl, to like a particular boy, or to have strong emotions about certain smells, certain things. So you are changing and your body is changing, and Zutomo Bonaranga got these emotional changes. So the other thing could be mood changes. So as you are developing all these things, you will start having some mood changes. Uthoma u vha na dzi characteristics dzine a u tou dzi pfesesa zwavhuḓi, ḽiṅwe ḓuvha wa sokou pfha u tshi nyala tshiṅwe tshithu, sa stuff like those. Zwi vha zwi khou itiswa nga dzi changes in the level of hormones. Another thing could be low self-esteem. So as we're growing, you start seeing that stuff in you are changing. So little girls, you start developing breasts, bangwe vha thoma u zwi shonela, then some see uri their breasts are not like the other their friends' breast, all those things, sizes, all those things. So zwi nga ita uri mini ni ḓisedzele fhasi ini muṋe ngori you see uri mini, you are not the same as somebody else because the changes dzi ḓa differently. So it could also cause aggression or depression. Vhaṅwe vhathu zwi a vha kwatisa, vhaṅwe zwi a vha depressa, all those changes. So zwi itea differently kha different people. So you must always know uri when these changes are happening, it is normal for some of these things to happen uh, when you are reacting to those changes. But they are not supposed to affect your life drastically. But you should expect to see those changes as you are changing. So the changes dzine ri khou amba ngazo, let's focus on the male, a boy. So tsho thoma, your skin will get oilier. So ndo thoma u vhona u pfha mapfura manzhi tshifhaṱuwoni, and then you start getting facial hair. So u thoma u bva dzi ndebvu, your shoulders get wider. So ni thoma unga ni muthu unga wa gyma, so your body structure tshi khou thoma u vha tsha munna. And then you start getting hair under your arms, under your armpit, and then you start growing hair all around your private parts and your body. And then the other thing is that your neck, chest, and leg is misipha on. All the muscles becomes bigger and stronger and taller. And one other thing is that your penis gets longer and wider, and then your testes, where your sperms are created, also gets larger. So let's talk about the female now. So the female also has its own changes. So nangwana wa musidzana u thoma u developa mini the changes as they are going through puberty. So the whole body gets curvier. So ngauri vhafumakadzi vha 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 khou prepare u vha na vhana. So body dzavho dzi thoma u ita mini? U vha curvier. So their hips widen. So na vhone, their skins get oilier. Their breasts start to develop, vha thoma u bva maḓamu. And then nabo under the armpits u thoma u bva mavhudzi. And then they also grow hair across their private parts. And their legs get bigger also and stronger. So now let's focus on the male reproductive organ or private part ya mutukana. So, mbuso ndiyo uri mini? What is the function of this organ? So, the function of the organ is to make and store sperm and also to place the sperm in the female during sexual intercourse. So, remember, we are focusing on reproduction. So, we are mainly focusing on the function with respect to reproducing children. So, let's go through all the parts. Ri zama u pfhesesa uri mini hu itea mini kha dzi parts dzoṱhe hedzi dza mini dza the male reproductive organ. So a ri thome hafha nṱha kha right hu na tshithu no pfi ureter. So ureter we can see that is coming from the top. So hedzi ndi dzi pipe dzine dzi hwala mashika ane a ḓo vha murundo dzi khou a ḓisa fhasi uri a dzule kha bladder ine ya vha dundela ḽa vhorine. Okay. Then we have something called the prostate gland. So the prostate gland, the gland ine ya vha responsible to secrete food for the sperm. So it feeds the sperms zwiḽiwa before they leave the body. Hu na tshithu tsho no pfi urethra. Urethra, it's the tube that connects the bladder and the penis. So ndi hune ha fhira murundo kana ha fhira mini sperms. Then the penis. So the penis is the one here in yellow. This is what we use to pee. And then there's testes. Testes is what I referred back. They are balls inside the scrotum. So these balls are responsible. Nga ngomu hazo hu create sperms. Then there's a scrotum as shown. Scrotum is this bag around the balls. So this bag, iba your protector mini, it protected the testes, the balls that I'm talking about. They're called testes. And then when it's cold, this scrotum will go closer to the body. Urimini, the testes must be kept at a warm temperature, but when it's hot, the bag will go down. Urimini, the testes must be cold. So the scrotum is also its function do regulate the temperature, yes, testes, because the testes must not be at very extreme temperature because the sperms will die and then the male will be infertile. The barrel beba ngori sperms zwawe zofa. So it must always be at the right temperature. So before we move on, let's discuss the path of a sperm or chipeme chichimbilisana. So the sperm is created in the testes, in the balls, like I said, these two balls. And then from the balls, it then moves through the sperm duct. The sperm duct is this vas deferens. So they move up. While they move, they come to this area, a prostate gland, and then it's fed food and then goes down the urethra out the penis. That is the path of the sperm. Now coming to the female reproductive organs. So what is the function of the female reproductive organ with respect to reproduction? So hapa the area ine makumba aite on the egg cell, and then this is a space wherein wana uhula on. So I will discuss some of the important parts. So one of the most important parts is the uterus. So uterus is this hollow space that we see here. This is where the baby grows. Okay, we have something called the ovary. The ovary is this white ball here, which is on the right and on the left. This is where an egg is created. We have something called fallopian tube. It's also on the right and on the left. Hapa, an egg is produced and it travels on this fallopian tube. We have the cervix. So the cervix, it is the mouth between the uterus and the vagina. So hapa ndione mulomoni une uchito baby wa mwana uvulea this part. This is the opening. Ndione avulea one uri mwana akono uva. And then ndiune havaela mwana nahone uri mini while mwana akudihula hapa hupo petu huba hovala uri mwana asongova prematurely. So the last thing is the vagina, which is the opening that is here. So the vagina is mostly what we see on the outside. Hezwi zwoṱhe zwe ra zwi amba fhaḽa nṱha a zwi koni u vhonala, ndi zwithu zwine zwine zwi nga ngomu. So this exterior ine yavha vagina ndi hone hune ra kona u vhona hone nga maṱo. So again ari ambe nga mini nga path ya an egg uri kumba ḽi tshimbilisa hani. So ndo ḓo ṱalutshedza uri mini kumba ḽi itea kha dzi ovaries, kha these balls that are here, and then it travels on the fallopian tube, ḽi tshimbila ḽa ḓa so kana ḽa ḓa so kharali zwi bva khori ḽi itea gai, muṅwe ṅwedzi ḽi nga itea ngafha, muṅwe ṅwedzi ḽa itea nga hangei, and then ḽa ḓa kha uterus, ḽi khou tshimbila ḽa swika kha uterus. Mbudziso yavho yori mini eḽo kumba ḽo fertiliziwa na kana a ḽi ngo fertiliziwa, zwi amba mini? Zwi amba uri hu na sperm tshine tshi khou ḓo ḓi fertilizer na. Arali tsho fertiliziwa, the first thing that will happen is there will be implantation and ṅwana a thoma u hula kumba heḽiḽa ḽo dzula ngafho. Mara kharali ḽi songo fertiliziwa, the egg will then have to go through out the vagina, and then ḽi tshi bva ḽi bva nga zwithu zwo pfhi mini menstruation process. Ndi musi muvhili wa mufumakadzi u tshi khou bvisa kumba ḽi songo shumaho. So just to repeat again, the stages zwa reproduction. So hu thoma tshithu tsho no pfhi mini ovulation. Ovulation ndi musi kumba ḽo vhibvaho nga ngomu ha ovaries, it's released into the fallopian tube. Hezwi zwi itea once a month. Hezwi zwi tshi itea kumba ḽi na 24 hours yo tshila. The second thing that happens is menstruation. So menstruation, ndimusi, the walls inside the uterus, which tomo build up a wall ya malova. So all around the uterus we build there this cushion ine yavha ndi malofha ane o dzula luvhondoni lwa uterus. Hezwi ndi u prepare mini uri kharali kumba ḽi fertilized ḽi ḓo kona u wana fhethu hune ḽi nga ḓo ḓa ḽa nambatela ḽa dzula hone. So like I was saying, kharali ha si vhe na mini na fertilization, houḽa luvhondo lu ḓo tea u kwashea ha itea zwithu no pfi menstruation. Ni khou kona u vhona malofha kaya a khou bvela nnḓa, ndi musi muvhili u khou ḓi cleaner ngauri kumba a ḽi ngo shuma. U tea u cleaner u bvise malofha haḽa na kumba ḽi songo shumaho. So the next thing ivha copulation. Copulation is what we call sex or sexual intercourse. Hafha ndi musi an erect penis and a moist vagina hu tshiya ha ṱangana munna na mufumakadzi for what we call sex. So the penis is inserted inside the vagina. So coming to the menstrual cycle ye ra vha ri tshi khou i amba, the process wherein the unused egg is removed from the body. So the changes dzine dza itea kha muthu wa mufumakadzi ṅwedzi muṅwe na muṅwe ndi hezi dze ra sumbedza picture ya hone hafha. So we start at day 0. So we're starting here. At day 0, let's assume we start with menstruation. The day 0 ya vhuria. So this happens for about 0 to 4, 5 days. So in the menstruation cycle. So when a woman is menstruating, this is the most infertile period. So ndi yone period ine a zwi konadzei kha vhanzhi uri hu ite mini hu vhe na ṅwana, ngauri ndi tshifhinga tshine mini kumba ḽo fa ḽi khou bvisiwa muvhilini. So for those 0 to 5 days ndi tshone tshifhinga tshine mini mufumakadzi u infertile. So hezwi hu tshi khou itea heyi menstruation period, nga ngomu ha ovaries hu khou thoma u developer mini kumba ḽiswa. So ri khou i vhona from day 2 ḽi kumba ḽi khou thoma u producea, ḽi khou thoma u producea u swika hu tshi itea zwithu no pfi ovulation. So ara sedza uri ovulation i khou itea gai, ovulation i itea kha day number 14. So day number 14 ra sumbedzisa uri mini kumba ngauri ḽi na 24 hours u tshila, between 11 and 18 days, day 11 and day 18, this is the most fertile period ngori kumba ndi hone lova, and then tshone tshifhinga tshine mini ḽi nga kona u fertilizewa ngayo. Remember tshifhinga tshine kumba ḽa tshila tshone ndi tshiṱukuṱuku, and then these dates are an average. So kumba ḽi nga bva nga day number 13 kana ḽa bva nga day number 15, and ḽi na 24 hours u tshila. So this period, to be safe, from 11 to 18, this is the most fertile period. So this is the period wherein if a girl or a woman and a man were to have sex, then they have better chances of getting pregnant. So we move on from day 18, ra move to 20, 22, 24, ra guma kha mini kha day 28. Kha day 28 ndi musi the uterus yo no ḓala malofha lune yo lindela mini uri sekele i dovholose futhi. So from day 28 ra move to day number 0 again ine ha itea menstruation. Then the cycle repeats every month. This cycle repeats and repeats. So now we continue na zwi stages zwa reproduction zwa uri let's now say the egg did not die. So when the egg was released, it found a sperm, or the male and the female had sex during that time. So we find something that calls fertilization. So the sperm swims inside the vagina to the uterus and go and meet the egg, as I've shown in the picture here. So when there's always millions and millions of sperm, but one must win and fertilize the egg. You can see with the picture here. Uri one of the sperm will go and fertilize the egg. And then when one has fertilized the egg, no other sperm can fertilize the same egg. So ziyamba uri mini hela zwithu zwi a protectiwa ha uri mini wanova zygote ine iko tea develop into a baby. The next part is implantation. So this fertilization will normally happen around or inside the fallopian tube. So when it is fertilized, it then goes and sit on that wall wall of blood ine yaiko yorindira mini uri kumba lo fertilize wali dzule hone. So on the picture we see on the endometrium uri the fertilized egg now comes and sits yawana vuzulo yazula hanefhala. So that then becomes an embryo ya developer mwana atomo uhula in that space. So musi mwana achikuhula in that space huna chithu chinofi the placenta. The placenta is shown on the picture here. So function ya placenta ni mean. So function ya placenta ni uri iva iko provider zwiḽiwa to the baby. So hezwi zwiḽiwa na malofha wa vha chithu tsho no pfi an umbilical cord. Umbilical cord tshi joina mini ṅwana ane a khou hula to the placenta. So ndi hune malofha na zwiḽiwa zwa kona u tshimbila zwi tshi ḓa kha ṅwana. So let's now talk about pregnancy. So pregnancy ni musi muthu wa mufumakadzi nga ngomu hawe hu tshi khou hula tshithu tshine tsha ḓo vha ṅwana. So a zygote is developing into an embryo developing into a baby. So this process itea u swikela week 40 on average. So week 40 it's about 9 months. Ndi hune mini pfi ṅwana u khou ita mini u khou ḓo yo baby. So kha this process ya pregnancy the uterus wall is maintained. So hela wall of blood hau tei tshithu khayo u swikela mini week 40. So zwi amba uri muthu wa mufumakadzi kana musidzana ha koni u ya kha zwithu zwi no pfi mini dzi periods or menstrual cycle kharali ṅwana a tshi khou developer khayo. This is why periods are also a sign of pregnancy. So when you start seeing 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of a person not going on their periods, we start suspecting that they are pregnant because that's what happens when a woman is pregnant. So having said zwe ra amba zwone, so huna zwithu zwo no pfi dzi contraceptives. So contra zwi amba uri against. So the last part is conception. So zwi amba uri mini ndi zwi thivhela mbebo. So this prevents fertilization from happening. So zwiṅwe zwa zwithu zwo no shumiswa as contraceptives, it's the condom. We've shown the picture here. This is the male condom. This is worn around the penis, and there's a female condom which is worn inside the vagina. There's also another thing which is called the pill. This is mostly for the women. So we have these pills that women will take. This will then go and interrupt that whole process here ya menstrual cycle. So a zwi tsha itea nga nḓila ine ro zwi describe hangei nṱha zwine zwa ḓo ita uri mini fertilization i songo itea. And that is how reproduction happens in human